in New York City. Before we get started, just a few logistical items. For our hour today, we will first spend some time sharing who we are as an organization and some context about our work in New York City. Then we'll spend some time reflecting about effective peer mentoring practices and specifically take a close look at peer group connection as an example of an effective peer-to-peer mentoring model. We'll watch a short video to help us get a better firsthand sense of the program and hear from our panel of school-based partners about their PGC experience. While we're going through the presentation portion of today's webinar, the sound quality for you will likely be better if you join the audio conference via phone rather than through your computer audio. So please feel free to make that transition if you like. Since we may all have some background noise, I'm also going to put everyone on mute. Since we only have an hour, we won't have time for a question and answer period, so if questions do come up for you during the presentation, please feel free to either type your question into the chat box and we will send out answers to all questions at the conclusion of the webinar. With that, let's get started. My name is Betsy Cohen, and I am the Director of Development in New York City at the Center for Supportive Schools. We also have my colleague, Erin O'Leary, who is our Senior Director at CSS on the line. I'm also pleased to welcome our panelists on today's webinar, including Jess Chrysler. Jess, I'll let you say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Jess is an earth science teacher and a PGC advisor at the Bronx High School of Business. And she is joined today by one of her 12th grade peer leaders in her class, Gifty Quofi. Gifty, can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi, Gifty. Hello. We also have Leslie Aquino, Assistant Principal and Stakeholder Team Coordinator at Pan American International High School in Queens. Leslie, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Leslie. Leslie also happens to be a PGC veteran. She served as an advisor in a previous role when she was a teacher at the Bronx Studio School for Writers and Artists, and then brought PGC to her new school, Pan American, when she changed roles. So we have a bit of an expert on the call, which is very exciting. I just want to say welcome and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So first, I'd like to share a bit about who we are at the Center for Supportive Schools. CSS is a nonprofit organization that has been working with schools across the country for over 35 years. During that time, we have served as a partner to schools implementing solutions that help to create safer, more supportive, more engaging, and more inspiring environments for teaching and learning, recognizing that ensuring students are equipped with essential social and emotional skills and support will help them develop the positive academic and personal behaviors that are critical for success both in school, higher education, and careers. The Center for Supportive Schools is currently partnering with over 70 schools across all 5 boroughs of New York City. Our work is particularly expansive in the Bronx and Brooklyn, and we are growing our impact quickly in Queens and Staten Island. Hopefully some of you see some of your neighbors who are already implementing PGC on this slide. We encourage you to reach out to your colleagues at these schools and hear from them how the program is impacting their school communities. An important component of our work in New York City is as a leader in the Community Schools Initiative. In partnership with the DOE, CSS is a lead community-based organization for 11 community schools, though we work with many more community schools who are implementing PGC as an essential component of their community school strategy. With that context about who we are as an organization, we'll turn to focus our discussion to the meat of the presentation today, which is our discussion of peer mentoring practices. Research shows that there is a profound weakness in the support provided to students during their transitional years into middle and high school. By the time students are in high school across the board, 40 to 60% of students are chronically disengaged from school. And we know that this disengagement leads to decreased academic achievement, decreased attendance, and increased disciplinary issues, and ultimately consequences such as high school dropout. From a 2015 report by America's Promise Alliance, which examined young people's perspectives on the power of school relationships, we also know that disengagement from school can often result from a lack of strong school-based relationships. The same report recommended that peer mentoring is a key solution to build the types of strong school-based relationships that keep students engaged and in schools. Specifically, they recommend engaging young people as peer supporters and investing in building relationships and leveraging student strengths. Though peer mentoring has the potential to directly address the challenge of disengagement from school and the consequences that result, it is important that any peer mentoring program is structured effectively to mitigate the risks involved. An effective peer mentoring program should be structured to ensure that mentors and mentees fully understand their roles, specifically that peer mentors are coached to serve as facilitative mentors and not positioned to have the same level of wisdom and life experience. Peer mentors have to have support to understand their position as a role model for their mentees, and peer mentors are provided with a structure that ensures mentoring takes place consistently and provides supports to help effectively address problems that may be presented by their younger peers. A cross-age peer mentoring relationship can be a powerful form of youth development, but it requires a thoughtful structure and implementation that is specifically designed to mitigate risks that can be involved. So, as we think about what an effective structure and implementation of peer mentoring should include, let's turn to review specific program design recommendations. So first, we have to determine goals and objectives. Then develop a stakeholder team of invested individuals that bring different skills and resources to the table and who meet regularly throughout the year. And then we also have to choose faculty advisors who are committed to program success and who can model facilitation and leadership skills for peer mentors. Then there has to be a peer leader selection process conducted, which would ensure a diverse group of student leaders who have the leadership skills necessary to take on this role. And then provide robust training for these peer mentors that creates a support network, provides opportunities for them to practice facilitation skills and to reflect on their practice. And continued, you should use a structured curriculum that pays attention to the stages of group development, includes relevant and interactive activities, and incorporates reflective practice for your students. You should integrate the program into the school day to enhance student commitment and consistency. Involving parents by communicating regularly with them and leveraging peer mentors to facilitate family events is another component that's really important. And of course, evaluation. Evaluate through regular stakeholder meetings and consider a process evaluation as well as an outcome evaluation at the end of the year. Student surveys in particular can be a really useful tool to evaluate program outcomes. Here's a list of some of the resources that we'll also provide after the webinar in a follow-up that will and help share some of these best practices in greater detail. So now that we've gone through those steps to effective implementation, we'll watch a 5-minute video segment that shows one example of how to implement effective peer mentoring through peer group connection. Just a note that the video will play through your computer speakers, so please ensure that your speakers are not muted and that the volume is turned up. Again, the video will be about 5 minutes and then we'll return to the presentation.
Back now at 8:44 with a school leadership program that's inspiring children all across the country to do things they never thought they would be able to do. Natalie's back with this story. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Anna. And at the core of this program are students getting the skills to be great leaders and help each other through the challenges of high school.
Guys, let's go. Period 2. Let's go.
In the maze of high school, it's easy to feel lost and alone. Senior Anna Perez says when her parents got divorced last year, she had no one to confide in.
I would describe myself as really shy and really quiet and reserved. I couldn't talk about myself. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was going through a really hard time. Like, everything just, it wasn't good.
But now Anna's life has been transformed by helping other students through similar struggles. It's part of an innovative program called the Peer Group Connection, now in over 100 high schools nationwide.
How do you think that you can use what you did and push it to the next level?
Senior peer leaders like Anna take a class in leadership skills.
Do you guys agree with that?
Then use those skills to mentor small groups of freshmen.
You feel good about yourself, and it's empowering to be put in a position where people look up to you, and they really do.
Here at Union City High School in New Jersey, Anna and her co-leader, Tito Garcia, meet weekly with their freshmen, helping them with everything from schoolwork to peer pressure to relationships.
A lot of the kids in our groups have family problems. Some of them don't have people to talk to at home.
That's when I feel about to start crying.
It's their time to just talk about anything that they want.
They feel like they're being noticed, and they feel like they have someone to go to.
And the benefits are amazing. Studies show freshmen in peer group have better grades, higher attendance, and fewer discipline problems. Even more profound are the rewards for the seniors.
Overwhelming sense of pride in myself, and because I would have never thought this, and I would have never thought I would be a leader.
Tito says before he was a peer leader, he rarely opened up about anything. Life at home was tough. His family of 5 all living in this tiny one-bedroom apartment. His father worked 2 jobs and was rarely home, leaving Tito feeling disconnected. But being a peer leader taught him how to communicate and express his feelings, skills he's used to get closer to his dad and model for his kids.
A few of my freshmen, they don't have relationships with their father, and they want to
The
do something
conference has
about
been
it.
muted.
And I think that's where I can come in to place, because I'm doing that for myself.
And he's not the only one cheering. Last month, over 500 peer leaders and alumni from across the country gathered to celebrate the program's success and its creator, Sharon Rose Powell, president of the Princeton Center for Leadership Training in New Jersey.
We're calling this conference Leadership for Life because studies have shown that the graduates of our peer leadership programs have better communication skills, not only in high school, but in their professional lives.
At the conference, I had the honor of moderating a panel on leadership, which included former peer leader George Hegeman. We first met him 18 years ago.
Tonight on What Works,
in this 1991 nightly news segment about the program. That's George as a high school peer leader, an experience he says gave him the confidence and motivation to fulfill his dreams, going on to play pro football for the Dallas Cowboys and now run a successful mentoring program for kids.
Peer group basically gave me a purpose. It is something that every day that I wake up, I think about. How can I help youth? How can I affect their lives?
It was like the biggest thing for me.
And the program keeps on inspiring. The once shy Anna now dreams of working for the UN, helping refugees around the world.
I didn't realize that I love helping people. It's like my calling to just help people.
Tito's goal? Using his leadership skills to one day build his own business.
In the program, I think I've learned way more about myself than I ever have before, and the newfound leader in me, I think it's amazing.
And this program.
So now we will turn to our panelists. I hope that everyone was able to hear that well. We would love to hear from you guys what resonates with you from the video as you think about your PGC experiences and how the experiences captured in the video are similar or different from yours. So Jess, would you mind starting us off?
Yeah, sure. So what resonates with me in this video is that students and teenagers in general go through a lot of hardships and a lot of challenges, especially growing up in an urban area. So sometimes you really have to show them that they have the skills to be leaders. So the PGC experience that I have is very similar to the one in the video. We're in our second year, and our peer leaders take their job very seriously, and a lot of them have shown tremendous growth over the past years, because we do have some returners, but we also have some students who are new to the program, and we're already seeing, this change in having them be more open-minded and having them be more outspoken. So it's a very powerful experience and very similar to what you guys just saw in the video.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I just want to underscore that I heard that this is a particularly useful program so that to show students who are growing up in New York City that they do have the skills and that this can be a really powerful growing opportunity for both the peer leaders and the freshmen in the program. Gifty, do you have anything you want to add?
I would like to add that in the video, the experience that a peer mentor had is similar to what we have in the school. as in building trust between the peer mentor and the freshmen that in the school, and also how the leadership role helps shape us up to become a better person, and also give us our voice in speaking out and standing out boldly in front of a large group of people and try to guide them to a rightful path. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just want to underscore that I heard you say that this was a really useful way to build trust between students, especially, freshmen and upperclassmen. You get to be the 12th graders. That's a really, I think, powerful thing that I heard you say. And also this leadership role helps to give you and your fellow peer leaders a voice and to help guide people. Thank you for mentioning that. Leslie, how about you?
So definitely at my prior school, at Bronx Studio School, I saw how much of an impact it had on the peer leaders itself. We had a diverse group of students, some of which maybe had some trouble academically or that weren't the best role models in 9th and 10th grade. And so they being able to see their own growth and be reflective of their own growth through the leadership process was really impactful. And this year as well, as we've just started the program here, I'm starting to see kind of like the wheels turning in the peer leaders' heads in terms of, some of them more quiet or reserved, or, we particularly work with all ESL students. They're all Spanish speaking, so they're being comfortable in speaking both languages and really coming out of their comfort zones and taking their own experience to the 9th graders. The 9th graders, as well, are already starting to form those connections with the peer leaders, and you see them kind of looking for them and advocating for them or for each other. So you see this kind of culture that's being built in the school of for the peer mentors themselves as well as for the mentees. And the teachers, because I think the teachers have changed their perspective about how much our students really can do.
Yeah, great, thank you. I heard a lot of really helpful things that I want to sort of reiterate there is, first you mentioned that your original group at Bronx Studio School was a really diverse group of students, some of whom may have struggled academically earlier in high school, which is something we definitely recommend to schools as they decide how to compose their peer leadership group, because those are the students who are really going to be able to relate the most to freshmen who may be struggling to transition into high school. And that there was a real process of building self-awareness and having the peer leaders really understanding their own growth, which then, of course, they can turnkey to help their 9th grade mentees to, go down that same path of growth and maturation. And I also wanted to underscore, you mentioned that your school serves an entirely ESL population and that the curriculum that we use in PGC is helpful for that group, because the whole curriculum is also offered in Spanish to kind of create that opportunity for students to connect in their native language and when talking about potentially very vulnerable things. So thank you so much for offering all of that, panel. So now that we have talked about effective peer mentoring practices and the ways in which it can, really strengthen a community from both the speakers in the video and our panel, and about the impact and experience for everyone involved, we'll turn to talk about peer group connection and learn a bit more about how this program works as an example of an effective peer mentoring program. So peer group connection is a peer-to-peer group mentoring model that harnesses the power of upperclassmen. So for high school, that will be your 11th and 12th graders, and for middle school, that would be your 8th graders, to ease the transition into school for incoming students and help create an engaging, inspiring, supportive, and safe learning environment for incoming students. So those would be your freshmen or your 6th graders. And just to clarify, the PGC model is offered for high school, middle school, and alternative schools, and each model uses a distinct and developmentally appropriate curriculum. So how does peer group connection, or PGC, work? When we at CSF begin working at a school, we first form a stakeholder team. This team is composed of administrators and other key school staff that it will be important to have invested in the success of the program. One of the most important members of this team is the stakeholder team coordinator. On our panel, Leslie fulfills that role at her school as the assistant principal. And she helps to coordinate and facilitate PGC at the school and is really our champion in the building and primary contact person throughout implementation. This team also includes 2 staff members who serve as PGC faculty advisors. And faculty advisors are the co-teachers of a daily peer leadership course for a select group of older students at the school. And you've heard a bit from Jess already about what that experience was like. These students are trained through this daily peer leadership course to serve as peer leaders in your school community. In the video you heard from Anna and Tito, and of course we have Gifty on our panel representing this point of view. In middle schools, these peer leaders are a select group of your 8th grade students. In high school, peer leaders are a select group of your 11th and or 12th grade students. As a part of this daily peer leadership course in high school, peer leaders work in pairs to conduct what we call outreach sessions for small groups of 10 to 14 freshmen on a weekly basis. In middle school, the peer leaders work in pairs to conduct outreach sessions for up to 10 sixth graders 2 to 3 times a month. As we've talked about the PGC program model, a question we often hear from schools is how they can make the logistics of PGC work at their schools. So now let's turn to our panel and listen to how their schools have addressed some of these challenges. Leslie, we'll start with you. How did you and your team at Pan American manage to build PGC into your school day?
So for us, we're doing most of our PGCs through our advisory program. At our school, we have advisory twice a week. We have it on Mondays and Wednesdays. And advisory periods are aligned throughout the school, meaning that every single student has advisory at the same time on those days. So Wednesday we chose, as part of the model, to be the outreach day during advisory period. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a PGC class for the peer leaders. Monday that aligns obviously with the advisory period as well. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we aligned it with other classes where the students, were kind of elective classes so that we weren't pulling them out of core classes, but they could still get credit. So essentially, we just made sure that we honored kind of the 5-day cycle for PGC, where the peer leaders have those first 2 days to kind of plan and prepare, have their outreach on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday where they're able to do the reflective and debriefing components.
Great, thank you so much. I just sort of want to reiterate a few different things that I heard first, of which is that because Pan American has an advisory program, this is a really natural fit to fit it into the school schedule already. And you also mentioned the outreach cycle, so I also just want to reiterate the really helpful points that you made, that PGC is structured to be 5 days a week, so that on a Monday, as an example, peer leaders will experience the outreach as facilitated by their advisors. On Tuesday, they'll plan for their own outreach with their partner. On Wednesday, they will conduct the outreach with their 9th grade mentees. On Thursday, they'll debrief and talk about what went well and maybe what needs to be improved for next time. And then on Friday, they'll conduct skill builders, energizers, things to continue to refine their practice. So thank you for mentioning all of that. Jess, how about you? Would you mind just sharing a bit about how this has worked at Bronx Business?
Yeah, sure. So we're very thankful that we have an AP who's in charge of programming that really loves PGC. And since we have such a small school, he was able to kind of work our school program around PGC. So what we did was we picked what time or what period we would have the peer leadership class, and we aligned that with the freshmen's phys ed class. So 1 day a week on Wednesdays we have outreach with the freshmen. That's pulling them out of their phys ed period. So having their classes aligned has helped make it work.
Got it, great. So there's a couple of things you mentioned there that I think are really key to just kind of reiterate again for our guests, one of which is creating buy-in and enthusiasm from your stakeholder team to ensure that PGC gets built into your school schedule earlier on in the year. It's a really helpful way to make sure that this is implemented with fidelity, and second of which is a recommendation that we make to a lot of our partner schools who may not have an advisory program or another time in the school day like that, is to build it into the freshman physical education as a really natural and helpful way to make this a possible element in their schedules once a week. So thank you so much for mentioning all of that, Jess. Gifty, kind of want to just turn to you a little bit from a student perspective. How has PGC worked within your own school schedule? This is your second year, I think, in the peer leadership class. And how has it worked alongside your other classes and commitments?
Okay, so last year and this year, apparently, PGC has not come in between or like taking me out of a class that I really needed. So PGC is actually a class that is in, because technically I passed almost all my classes, and so it's fitting in a space in my schedule that I'm not taking nothing in there. So we just pull out, as Mr. Class said, we just pull out freshmen once in a week, which is on their physics period, and then we teach them, we give them activities to do, and as Les said, throughout Monday, Tuesday, we plan, and Thursday, Friday, we debrief about it. So PGC has not actually come across or has distracted or pulled, like a teacher pulling me out of a class to do PGC. It's actually been a really good scheduled program in my class period. So I think it's good.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I just heard that PGC has really fit naturally into your school schedule and hasn't disrupted any of your academic commitments, and has been able to really fit in well to your school day. So thank you so much for offering that. You may have heard our panel mention outreach that happens once a week. So during these outreach sessions, which is the time when peer leaders meet with their younger peers, the peer leaders conduct curriculum-driven activities that help students learn critical social and emotional skills and academic and personal behaviors that are essential for their success in school and beyond. The activity-based curriculum covers topics including goal setting, decision-making, communication skills, and the full list that you see on the screen is a sampling of the entire scope of the curriculum. So as exemplified by the PGC model, I just want to read there are 6 really key components of an effective peer mentoring program, which includes collaboration with the school leadership team to build capacity and train a school-based team of stakeholders, faculty advisors. As we just discussed, each section of PGC is co-taught by 2 members of an in-school team who are trained and supported by CSS. Peer leaders, so those are those upperclassmen, again, serving as mentors to their younger peers. Weekly outreach sessions, so these are hands-on, activity-based, curriculum-driven sessions and accompanied by some special events. One of those special events is a family night. Each PGC program also includes a family night where the peer leaders facilitate an evening event for transitioning students and their families. Family night is designed to help families develop a positive relationship with the school, learn more about their child's school experience in PGC, as well as to help open up the lines of communication between parents and their children. And finally, 10th grade booster sessions. These are a series of sessions that occur not weekly but up to 4 key points during the school year to help reinforce the messages from PGC that the students experienced during their freshman year. To implement PGC and support schools in putting into place all of the pieces we just discussed, CSS provides 3 primary supports to each partner school. The first primary support is training. The 2 co-teachers of the daily leadership course and the PGC stakeholder team coordinator all attend 11 days of professional development over an 18-month period with other new school partners across New York City. This training begins in the spring prior to program implementation, continues in the summer through a 4-day, 3-night residential training, and is followed by a 1-day fall training, a 3-day, 2-night winter residential training, and a 1-day spring training, and a final day of training in the fall of your second year of implementation. And then there's technical assistance. Every partner is assigned a dedicated project manager who conducts team meetings at the school does observation and feedback sessions to support the peer leadership class and outreach sessions, and generally supports the school to provide program expertise and coaching over the first 15 months of implementation. And finally, there's our evidence-based curriculum. Every trained faculty member receives our evidence-based hands-on PGC curriculum, which provides a detailed lesson plan for each day of the peer leadership course and every outreach session throughout the school year. As we talked about how we partner with schools and support implementation of PGC with new partners, I'd love to turn to our panel and hear a bit more about your experience with this support. So Jess, I'd love to turn to you first and just ask how PGC training, your partnership with your project manager, and the curriculum helped you to be successful in implementing PGC at your school.
Okay, so I'll start with the PGC training. So all of the trainings and professional developments have been such a powerful experience in terms of being trained for PGC, but also, you know, reinforcing the fact that this is such a great program and there's so many important components in the program. And learning each piece is really important in order to implement it. So the trainings are really great, and we, you know, at each training we may meet like new people that are in PGC. So all of the trainings I really looked forward to. In terms of our project manager, so I work with Katie, who has been great. She helped us a lot with our first year, and each school is going to have different challenges. So the project manager's job is to really help us with what our issues are, not what this, what other schools are kind of dealing with. So it's very individualized help and really based on what our school needs. And the curriculum has been really great. All of the outreaches are pretty interactive, and they're also in Spanish. We do have a lot of bilingual students in our school. So having the outreaches already in Spanish was very helpful in terms of preparation for our peer leaders, but it also was a great experience for the freshmen who, you know, have a language barrier.
Great, thank you so much. So just, I want to just repeat a few really helpful things that I heard you say, one of which is during the training, which, reinforces a lot of the components and is sort of an experiential opportunity for the advisors and stakeholder team coordinators to really hone a lot of skills and learn each piece of PGC, because there are quite a few different components involved. And also that you get to kind of interact with and meet other New York City school folks who are also implementing PGC for the first time when you go through training. And in terms of the technical assistance, just want to sort of reinforce that you mentioned that this is an opportunity for your school to get the help that it needs on a really individualized basis. Every school in New York City and across the country is going to have different issues come up throughout implementation, and so this is an opportunity to really troubleshoot with an expert on what your school needs in that moment. And finally, just want to sort of acknowledge a couple of things you said about the curriculum, which is that it's, of course, very hands-on, very activity-based, and that, of course, it is offered in Spanish for students who are bilingual, who may be more comfortable communicating in Spanish. So thank you so much for all of that. Leslie, I want to just turn to you for your perspective here as well.
So definitely I think one of the most powerful pieces of PGC is the support that we get from you guys. And so at my previous school, like having, working with Michael Kerrigan and with Scott, this year working with Allison and Nora, has really been like walking us through the process and differentiating for like the needs of our school. So seeing that experience in two very different schools, but seeing how much support you guys gave has been really remarkable. The trainings themselves are always really helpful and really engaging. As an AP, I go through a lot of trainings and a lot of PDs, and by the end of the day, I'm ready to like check out because I'm just like, this is, not meaningful. But every PGC training that I've attended, including the retreat when I was an advisor and the fall day that we had recently, have been so powerful in terms of giving us time to really engage with the curriculum, engage with the activities, but also have time to plan with our teams and with our schools. And that I know that like at any given point, like Nora or Allison or any of our project managers are just like an email or a phone call away has really been helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just sort of want to highlight a couple things that I heard. One of which is really just that the trainings are meant to be very engaging, to give each school team time to interact with and become familiar with the curriculum, but also to plan with the schools. And that's really followed up with differentiated support for each school, so that there is technical assistance reinforced between each training, so that professional development feels like something that's sort of constantly happening throughout the implementation for the year. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. And so now that we've talked a little bit about how to implement PGC in a school, I would love to spend just a little bit of time walking through further evidence and research behind PGC. A number of research studies have been conducted about PGC over the past 30 years, but the most rigorous was a 5-year randomized control study funded by the federal government and conducted by Rutgers University. This study showed that students who participated in PGC during their freshman year graduated high school at a rate of 9 percentage points higher than students who did not participate in the program. Further, the study showed that these findings were even greater for male participants who graduated at a rate of 18 percentage points higher than their counterparts who did not participate in the program. Additionally, when digging into the data further, Rutgers examined the subgroup of male students who, upon entering high school, had a high probability of graduating in 4 years, which was based on a variety of factors such as academic achievement, attendance, etc. The analysis showed that this group of students who entered high school with a high probability of graduating on time, those that participated in PGC graduated at a rate of 91%, while those students who did not participate in PGC graduated at a rate of only 78%. Other outcomes that studies of PGC have demonstrated include higher grades and on-time promotion rates, better attendance, fewer discipline referrals and instances of fighting and suspension, and improved communication with others. Further, as a part of our evaluation process with all of our partner schools, at the end of every school year, we conduct surveys with transitioning students and peer leaders to assess the impact of PGC on their development of social and emotional skills and the impact of PGC on their attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs. Our most recent results in New York City show that for the majority of outreach participants and peer leaders, PGC increased their motivation to graduate from high school and college, helped them develop relationships with peers who are different from themselves, improved their ability to help set and achieve goals, and helped them to earn or maintain higher grades in their classes. So we've spoken quite a bit about the quantitative outcomes of PGC, so now I would love again to turn to our panel to discuss the qualitative outcomes of PGC through your experiences. Jess, why don't we start with you? What evidence do you have that PGC is having an impact at your school?
Okay, so we've seen that a lot of our 9th graders who were in PGC last year, in 10th grade, they're holding leadership roles that are in another program in our school. So it's been really nice to see that their peer leader influenced them to be a leader, and they always go back to them and, they kind of ask for help in their experience. So it's been really great to see that they're still, they still have those connections from PGC. Just because they're not in 9th grade anymore, they can still go to their peer leader and ask them questions and still hold that relationship. Also, in terms of our peer leaders, they've shown tremendous growth in, being able to speak their mind, and really, they take on such a, they really take it seriously. And I think that it's been a very powerful thing for the peer leaders, because now they've been trained and they know how to really do everything now. So they carry that through every aspect of their life right now. So it's been really great to see that PGC has not only impacted them academically, but how they've grown as a person and with their character.
Great, thank you. So just want to kind of, that's really helpful. I heard you say that this has helped your 9th graders to build their own leadership skills as they transition into 10th grade in their 2nd year at your school, and really helps the peer leaders to build leadership skills, to help them speak their mind, and to really improve both their academic progress at the school as well as their sort of personal character building process. Gifty, I would love to hear from you as well. What lessons from PGC have had the greatest impact on your life?
Okay, so the lessons from PGC that has had a great impact on my life is now I found my voice. I'm confident and I'm outspoken, and I could talk publicly in front of a public space full of people. PGC actually taught me how to be a responsible person, mature, and also in terms of being a leader to the freshmen. PGC helped me be able to train and mold the freshmen into how they are going to be during the whole of their high school life. So PGC is something that has had a great impact on my life by changing me physically and emotionally and how I speak, because now I'm outspoken, I'm brave, and I talk what is on my mind, in like a good way to motivate the kids that are now coming in high school.
Great, thank you so much. It's so great to hear that this opportunity has really helped you to sort of build confidence, find your voice. I think I heard you say that this it has helped you to be more brave, and also to kind of be more responsible and to be a role model to help lead your freshmen to experience high school in the way that's going to be the most positive for them. Thank you so much. Leslie, would love to hear from you as well.
So definitely, in terms of what I've seen in just a short amount of time, because we just started PGC in September, for the students themselves is just really seeing this turnaround and how my seniors and my juniors really interact with the 9th and 10th graders. I've seen a cultural shift just in terms of how my teachers and staff see our students. So when we had our activity day a couple of weeks ago, we chose to do it right outside in the quad, and so you saw teachers kind of peeking through windows, going outside, and really you could feel the excitement. All we heard was praise about how much they enjoyed seeing the peer leaders in action and how respectful they saw the 9th graders being towards the peer leaders. So I can already feel the cultural shift in terms of how even the adults in the building are approaching and seeing our students and giving them more opportunities to be leaders. At my previous school, it was also a cultural shift, again, because we purposely chose a diverse group and chose students, particularly the boys, that maybe were kind of the troublemakers in 9th and 10th grade, how they could be given other opportunities to shine or do things differently and to change how our teachers and staff were looking at them, right? So they had these kind of preconceived notions of well, that kid was always in trouble, how is he a leader, to, oh, I can see exactly why he's a leader and, how he or she is impacting the school. It's also something that's kind of bringing a different kind of culture to the school. So we're starting to plan things like family night, and our school is unique in terms of we have a lot of parent engagement, but I feel like the parent engagement is always the same in terms of, just giving them information or kind of just throwing information at them, whereas this opportunity is coming up where our parents are really going to engage in an activity that's meaningful and powerful for them. So, we're hearing more and more about the leadership, and my other grades are a little bit jealous that we don't have PGC for 10th grade or the other, 11 or 12 in the same way. But I'm really hopeful that we're going to continue to build on this.
Great, thank you so much. I heard you say a lot about how this opportunity has really created a lot of cultural shift on many different levels in your school already. Although, as you mentioned, your current school just started implementing this program this year, and we're only at the beginning of November. So, one of those elements being how the upperclassmen are treating your 9th graders, and also how your teachers are seeing your students and how they're, shifting their own perceptions and behaviors in the school community. And as you mentioned at Bronx Studio, when you were there, when you had a longer sort of runway to see the impact of the program, you were able to see, people treating students who may have struggled in the past be treated and understood differently because their leadership skills are really given an opportunity and a platform upon which to shine. So that's really helpful for us to hear. And also, even in a community, as you mentioned, where the parent engagement's already pretty strong, this the family night portion of this really offers an opportunity to create an interactive mode for parents to engage with the school and to be really hands-on. So it's really exciting. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I just sort of want to give a little bit of time for a bit more of an open space. And thank you all so much for your time and sort of insights today that you've offered to our guests. So as you know, some of this audience that we have today may be considering bringing peer mentoring and PGC specifically to their schools. And I'd just love to hear if there's anything you want to share with them as they consider their next steps. So for this one, I would love to start with Gifty, if you wouldn't mind.
So, PGC.
So Betsy, can you just repeat your question for Gifty?
Oh, sorry, of course. So Gifty, just wanted to sort of hear if there were anything you would want to share with people who might be considering bringing PGC to their own school, what you would want them to know or think about.
Okay, so I would want people who want to bring PGC into their school that PGC is a life-changing program that turns a hard-knotted kid to a really smart, mature kid. So as I have experienced, PGC actually matured me into an older and grown person that I am right now. Because when I was a freshman, I was this shy little girl. 10th grade, I was shy. I didn't do nothing. So when I joined PGC 11th grade, I found what I really had in me that it never came out of me because I didn't want to pursue it as something. But PGC brought everything out, and also it also shapes up the freshman that comes in. It also let the school look good because according to the freshmen, what the kids does in the school is what reflects on them. So having PGC in the school, having peer mentors as we the students being the leader or the PGC advisors tends to let them trust us because we are students as them, and I'm known to be a leader, skilled people. So having PGC in your school is really a good thing, and it helps shape up everything, everybody, every freshman in that school.
Great, thank you. I heard you mention that this can be a really life-changing experience. It helped you grow from a student who was very shy to someone who feels like you have a lot of leadership skills, a lot to share, and that you feel like you're really mature and grown, and that PGC was a huge part of that. So it's so great to hear. And you also mentioned that it helps to sort of build a trusting community and someone for the ninth graders to feel like they can really depend on and rely on and share things that they may not really be comfortable sharing with adults. And that's really, what's so powerful about students taking on this role in a building. So thank you so much for sharing all of that, Gifty. Jess, how about you?
I would say that for anyone who's considering PGC would be to definitely go through with it. It presents a lot of challenges, but it's one of the best things, if not the best thing that I've done as a teacher. We focus so much on academics and passing Regents exams, but we don't focus on sometimes the social, emotional growth of a teenager and their needs. So PGC has really made me reflect on my teaching practice in my earth science class, and really, it's really changed the way I think about things, and it's a very, very, very powerful experience. So, yes, it's difficult, but it's totally worth it.
Great, thank you. As you just mentioned, this is an opportunity to really prevent a lot of challenges that can come up within a school building through this opportunity to really shift our focus as educators from focusing only on the academic portion of what we're doing with students, but also to really focus on their needs and their social emotional learning. I've heard from you and many others that this really can change a whole teaching practice for an educator and sort of how they approach meeting the needs of their students as they come up. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. And Leslie, finally to you.
I definitely have to piggyback off of what Jess said. PGC is definitely a challenge. There's programming that you need to, consider, and considering how to recruit students, like the whole process of it. But I will say that from beginning to end, it is well worth the process and worth, taking on the challenge. I was really excited when I was able to bring it to this school because I knew the experience that I had as an advisor in my old school, and just having this appreciation for the growth that I saw in the students and how impactful it was. And now having that privilege of bringing it here, knowing that it's going to make such a remarkable change here, it's really well worth it. So 100% agree with just fight for it, try to do whatever you can to get it in, because it is a game changer in a sense. So again, I'm really excited to continue working with PGC.
Great, thank you so much. And we're so excited that you were able to bring the program to your new school, and to hear you say that though that the programming process, which for an AP who's in charge of programming, can be a really challenging lift, but it's definitely worth the outcome, and that putting something like this into place is absolutely worth the investment for any school. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I just sort of want to close out our time together today with some opportunities to learn more about PGC and to experience the program a little bit more firsthand. So this fall, CSS is offering 3 opportunities and potentially adding some more to come and see our programming in action hosted by some of our current partner schools in New York City. So on Thursday, December 8th is the first one. We'll be showcasing PGC High School at Bronxdale High School in the Bronx, where we will see a mentoring outreach and hear from students and faculty within the program. And the next day, Friday, December 9th, we'll be showcasing programs at 2 co-located schools. And those are the Lyons Community School and the Green School, which is in Brooklyn. Lyons has both a PGC Middle School and a PGC High School program, and the Green School is implementing PGC High School. So we'll see a mentoring outreach session, a peer leadership class, and hear from a panel of students and faculty from across all 3 programs that morning. And then the following Tuesday, December 13th, there will be a Showcase Schools program visit at the Morris Academy for Collaborative Studies, where CSS is a lead partner in their community school programming. This visit will feature their Peer Group Connection program, similar to the first 2, and also their project-based learning programming. So please do save the date if you're able, and I'll be following up to this webinar with all the details to register for one of those visits if you're interested. And so finally, we've had the opportunity today to discuss why peer mentoring is an effective tool to keep students engaged, the key elements of establishing an effective peer mentoring program. We've seen quite a bit about how a strong program can positively impact a whole school community. And as I mentioned, I'll be following up with answers to all questions submitted today, which can be put into the chat box, which I believe will be on the left-hand side of your screen, or potentially on top of the toolbar. And I'll also be sending out a high-level guide that includes many of the key elements and steps to establishing a peer-to-peer mentoring program we discussed today, as well as details on how to register for any of those in-person site visits that I just mentioned. And if you're interested in learning more about how bringing PGC to your school, now is really a great time to start the conversation and set up a meeting with me or my colleague Erin, who's also on the call, at your school. And I'll be sending a follow-up email to all of you individually to continue the conversation about PGC and possibly bringing the program to your school next year. So here's my contact information as well as Erin's, and please feel free to reach out to either one of us directly if you have any questions or if you want to find a time to speak in person about anything that we've discussed here. Thank you so much for your time today, and that concludes our webinar. So thank you so much, and please do submit any questions you have into the chat box so that we can follow up with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye.